So Rinke, I would say I'm just going to hand it over to you. Please MC us until the beta release.
Okay. All right. So the B beta release. In this presentation, I'll be talking about the past, what I've been doing up until now, the present, what did we release, and the future, what are we going to release. A bit about me. My name is Rinke. You can find me on Acneer on Telegram, GitHub, Beehive, or I don't know, even RuneScape or other online games. I'm the product owner for the Swarm team and a researcher, mostly for the incentives. And sometimes I also act as a developer, but well, not really. So about the past. I have a little bit of comparison between Swarm and Bee, because for some people who are already longer in this project, it might be confusing, because what is Swarm and what is Bee? Well, Swarm is the node software for the old Swarm, right? And Bee is the node software for the Swarm network, right? So you have the Swarm network right now. And the Swarm network comprises of multiple Bee nodes. But in the past, and that's a bit confusing, we used to call both the node software and the network Swarm. So forget that. Right now, the Bee is the node software and the Swarm is the network. That's it. So in the old Swarm, and that's the node Swarm software was built on top of dAPP, which is a networking layer. Amongst others, Ethereum used that. But Ethereum as an ecosystem is also moving towards libp2p, which is really a much better, more advanced networking layer. The Swarm codes used to have a lot of development and research. We've been working on it for more than 5 years, 4 years, I should say. But really, after working 4 years and iterating a lot of code, it became clear to us at the point that with that source code, we probably wouldn't be able to release production-ready software. So we rebooted in March this year, and we decided to start building the B node, the software B. And really the goal of the B node, we're doing it for the second time, but the goal is to have a production network with production grade code. So it's already said, the production development on the Swarm node stopped in March 2020. And well, the B node started development in the end of 2019. With the Swarm node, DevOps used to be, and integration testing used to be somewhat of a second thought, whereas in the B node, DevOps and integration testing is an integral part of the B project. And because of this, we can ensure much better performance and stability of the network. If you're working for 4 years on one software project, even if you have advancing insight, it becomes increasingly difficult to apply that. So with the B node, we had the unique opportunity to apply a lot of advancing insight. And even though we've been working only for a couple of months right now on the B node, B is already feature complete compared to the Swarm, and many of those features have had significant improvements. So a couple of months ago, we released the B alpha. And the B alpha, as Victor already said, was mostly a distributed, immutable store of chunks. And the disk is really the fundament of the Swarm network. And the B nodes have been running with the alpha release, a network which has been continuously live since we released the B node. Well, of course, on the disk, you cannot do a lot. You can upload and download chunks, but chunks are not interesting, right? You really want to have something to show and to demo, which is why during the alpha release, we released a feature to upload and download files as well. Oh yeah, by the way, I put a heart here, not only because I love the alpha release, but also because I believe that it's the heart of the Swarm. Then to now, the beta release. Little bit of a comparison between the beta release and the alpha release. So the alpha release contained a lot of lower level protocols, and those are inherently not really demo ready, right? We only had files to upload. So the alpha release had a lot of lower level protocols, which you couldn't demo, but which was essential, was a fundamental, and not so many higher level features. In this release, it's exactly the opposite. So you see there will be a lot of features, But there's not so much advancements on the lower level protocol because those were already built in the alpha release. And I want to acknowledge the whole team, Janos, the tech lead, everybody from the dev team, our DevOps team, and also all the devs who are not currently in the team. Of course, everybody worked extremely hard and well to put off beta. The road is bumpy, the features are experimental, but really no single person out of this list could have been missed, because without you, we couldn't have released what we released today. So thanks, everybody. PPS, also thanks to everybody who helped me with the last minute slide preparations. And also, of course, Swarm is much more than only devs. So there have been amazing work by people every day to support the Swarm, from operations, marketing, communication, research, and legal. And Edina, you're there, thanks. All right. So with the beta, your node now contains the required features needed to develop and launch a wide array of applications on top of the Swarm network. So we really invite you right now to try it out. All right, and all the features. First of all, we have utilities, tools, and features to build unstoppable applications. We have the Swarm bandwidth incentives, essential for the self-sustainability of the network. We have protection against loss of chunks, and I'll go into what exactly that is. And we have a couple of UX, user experience improvements. You can check out right now already the release. It has been released about 3 hours ago right now on github.com/ethersphere/b. Right, so utilities, tools, and features to build unstoppable applications. First of all, manifest. Manifest specifies some sort of a mapping from paths to documents, which allows URI-based addressing. Why do we need this? Well, to map a file system directory trees on Swarm, serve as a routing table, as a sitemap to access websites, and support arbitrary key value stores on Swarm. That's a lot. Manifest really allow many higher level data structures to be built on top of Swarm. So why is this so cool? We support multiple manifest implementations next to each other, and also the default Manta array offers logarithmic operations optimized for large directories, such as, for example, Wikipedia. And I have a small video to show this. This video was made by Janos a couple of days ago. So you see Janos creating here a Vue.js application. He's now cloning the repository. Right, here it is. You see the application. Here is the application. So he's going to say, welcome to the Vue.js app served by Swarm. And Vue.js, for those who don't know it, is a very popular framework to build applications on the web. All right. Here's going to tar to bundle all those files into one file. And he's going to upload the tar file to the Swarm via the dirs directories. He gets here the reference. And this reference you can use on the BCC endpoint to, browse unstoppable websites or applications. That's it. Thanks, Janos, for the video. And you can check out this video. Oops, it's below. But anyways, you can check out this video on our YouTube channel, Ethereum Swarm. Okay, the other one is name resolution. So we're using the Ethereum name service or compatible to resolve human readable name names into Swarm addresses. This is needed because we need to map immutable addresses to mutable content to provide the integrity protection on the blockchain, and also to provide for human memorable addresses. Because let's be fair, nobody can remember a Swarm address, right? Well, it's very cool that we don't force you to use any blockchain in particular to resolve names. We recommend Ethereum, but feel free to use any other EVM compatible blockchain, such as RSK, to resolve names. Single owner chunks. Well, Victor already spoke about it just before me, but basically in Swarm, we have two types of chunks. The first one is content address chunks, And the second one is single owner chunks. Single owner chunks are really one of a kind because they enable off-chain mutable content to serve as a basis of feeds, representing regularly updated content from a single source. It's so cool to have this because in a previous swarm, a more constrained type of single owner chunks was exposed. This was a feed. On top of the single owner chunks, you can build feeds, but many more options right now are possible. So unleash the creativity. Seek in content. This is random access into a file, skipping to a given offset. It sounds technical, but basically it allows you to consume media resources on Swarm without downloading them first. It's basically you navigate to the Swarm address, and in your browser you'll be shown a video player so that you can play it. And cool thing about this, really, what I think is that this one was a user request. And David HQ requested this feature in our Telegram channel, and it was implemented within 2 weeks. So please let this be a motivation that you can also join and request your features. Then encryption. This is to store confidential contract on Swarm, which we can only decipher if you have access to the secret, the decryption key. We need this because not all the information should be public. And the cool thing about this is that you could do selective disclosure. So if you decrypt your website, for example, and you only want to disclose part of this website, you'll be able to do it with the encryption which Swarm provides inside the B node. Then PSS, also about this we already spoke. But releasing with B, we're releasing PSS, which is the posted service over Swarm. Well, secret messaging is really a core enabler of many applications of the web. So the cool thing about this is really that it offers confidential, anonymous, untraceable, disguised as chunk traffic, automatic mailboxing, and we can do this because we built PSS on top of the disk, and because of this, PSS actually inherits many of the good properties of the disk. Also, we're releasing the support for an external signing, and we have been trying it out ourselves with Clef, but any other external signing in theory could be used. And really this is needed to manage your private keys such that the B node doesn't directly have access to your keys and your funds. Well, we do this because we want to follow the best practices in security. And of course, we also preparing for the production with bandwidth incentives on mainnet, so real money, right? So the cool thing about this is Clef is a project from within the Ethereum ecosystem, and of course, we wholeheartedly support this. Then about the bandwidth incentives, and Rolf, are you here?
Yeah, sure.
Yeah, he is here.
Cool.
I will stop sharing my screen so you can take over.
So,
Okay, there you go.
so, okay, I hope that you can now see my screen. So I have no slides, but I will give you a bit of demo of those things that are now in the new release with the incentives. So basically, the idea is that nodes, they should pay for their own bandwidth, and we account for this in two places. On the one hand, when we retrieve files, on the other hand, when we actually push files into the network. At the same time, the nodes who are forwarding the traffic, so like in retrieval, who are helping out getting the file to you, or in pushing, who are helping out getting the file to the destination, they should make a profit. And the thing that makes this is the swap accounting, where basically peers, they keep a tab with each other about what the balance is, like how much bandwidth did the other peer consume, and then they have a settlement protocol to even out bigger differences in this balance. So if I'm really a lot in debt because I consumed a lot more than I provide to another peer, I would use a payment to even things out again. But of course, doing payments is not so tricky, and the obvious way is blockchain, but doing small payments on the blockchain is not nice either. So we're using an off-chain payment system, the swap checkbook, which is basically a unidirectional payment channel. And this is one of the new features that is live now in the new release. And so I will now start a B node on an empty directory. Because we are now using a blockchain-based settlement layer, our B node also has to be connected to a blockchain backend node. And by default, if you just start B, it will look for a blockchain node on your local network, on your local host at the standard port. But if you don't have a node running locally, you can specify a remote one. So all of the Swarm incentive infrastructure is deployed on the Görli testnet from Ethereum. And yeah, I'm using here an Infura endpoint. I'm also using the debug API enable so that we can see a bit in the debug API later on. So I will now start this, and because this is a new B directory, it will generate a new private key, and therefore also a new Ethereum address, which of course is not funded. So it will tell us that we can't actually do anything, because in the very beginning, what you have to do is we have to deploy this checkbook contract. Is this something? Okay. At the very beginning, you have to deploy the checkbook contract, and for this you need both Görli Ether for the gas, but also the BTC token on Görli, which is not the real BTC token, but it's a test token that's used for now. And to get things started, we have set up a faucet at faucet.eswarm.org, where I'm going to go now. So I'm going to paste an address in here, and there is a captcha where I have sometimes those kind of puzzles. And yeah, now this faucet will send us both Ether, but also the BTC. And this will take a while because these are now really blockchain transactions. And I think the block time on Görli is 15 seconds, but we can try to start again and see if it works already. No, so the funds have not arrived yet. So we will have to wait a bit longer for this. But now we see that the funds have arrived and the node is starting to deploy the checkbook. It tells us the transaction, and now it has one in it. On the very first startup, it will also send a bunch of BTC token into the checkbook so that you are immediately liquid to do stuff. And only once we have a checkbook do we actually connect to the network. And we can now look at the debug API to actually monitor or look at our checkbook. And we can look at the balance, for example, that we have. And here we have two kind of balances. We have the total balance, which is the amount of tokens that are actually on the checkbook. But what's going to happen as we consume traffic is that we're going to issue these checks, which don't do anything in the blockchain until they're actually cached. But still, we need to make sure that we don't overspend, which is why we have an available balance, which is kind of like the part of the balance that we have not yet used for anything. Cool. And our node is now running, and we could try to vary some content. And what we should be able to see now is that as this node connects, it starts to fetch data. We can look at our swap balances, where we can see how the balance changes with our peers. So for every peer, we have this balance. And for most peers here, it's a negative, because negative means we owe them something, and we owe them something because we're currently downloading this video here. And so the negative balance is going to increase. And at some point, it will get to the point where we are so much in debt that we need to settle. So I'm not going to wait for this here. Instead, I'm going to go to this other node here, which has been running a while already, and where we already had some settlements. And what we can see then here is that we have issued checks for this off-chain checkbook, because this node pushed a video into the network, and therefore it consumed resources, and it needed to pay for this. And so it sent those checks in order to even out the balance again. Unfortunately, I don't have a node currently which has actually earned money, because all the nodes that I've used with the new network was either downloading files or pushing files, which are both actions that cost you money. Whereas if you want to earn money, it's basically good to do nothing actively and instead let traffic flow through you, so that you get part of the reward during the forwarding. Cool. I'm going to check here the balances, but I think this is a rather small video, which is why we're not really going to see much of the change here. We also have a couple of endpoints available for like querying the checks for the peers individually. If we have actually received a check, you can also cash it out on the blockchain via a specific cash out operation, which is the point when we actually realize the profit that we made. And we also have endpoints for like withdrawing from your checkbook, depositing into it, and this kind of stuff that you need. Maybe also interesting, there's a more general settlement endpoint, where we can get this in a more compact view. And most importantly, we can also see like the sum of the things. And so we see we sent a lot of settlement because we consumed a lot of resources, but this node hasn't actually earned anything yet because it's still quite new in the network. And since the network is very young, it's probably the only node which has really pushed data into it. Yeah, and I think that's all I wanted to show here for now.
Wow, Ralph, that's amazing. Thanks a lot for this demo. And we are sitting here and watching with amazement at what you just demoed, and really genuinely this is amazing.
Yeah, Rinke, so I know I'm too early, but I'm just to break into this thing, but I just want to say, like, it's like maybe one of the first times I'm like really lost for words, like seeing this. I see this for the first time, this thing, and I totally agree on this is really amazing. I feel like sometimes I feel like we don't realize enough what we actually have built here or what we are doing.
Yeah, definitely. And maybe this is a call to action. If you are watching this and your fingers are itching because you want to make a sleek looking dashboard, then you should do so. All right. I see you looking, Michel. Maybe your fingers are itching to start making it.
Well, my fingers are itching to actually do other things than dashboards, but yes.
Yeah, try that.
I mean, I have to focus on emceeing this event, of course, but yeah, this opens up so many. It's very inspiring, to say the least. Yes. But so sorry, I totally interrupted because I had to tell you guys that this is truly amazing stuff to see.
Yeah.
So, But please, you have to finish your presentation, I think.
Yeah, I mean, because we're not finished yet with the amount of features.
Okay, I'm so sorry.
Thanks, Ralph. All right, so what I also mentioned is that the B beta right now has a couple of features to protect against chunk loss. So really the first basic feature here is what we call local pinning. And basically local pinning is to ensure that certain chunks will be always available via your node. So basically it puts off the garbage collector for certain chunks, and well, those chunks will be available via your node. This is really elemental because it ensures persistence, at least for yourself and anybody who accesses content via your Swarm node. Of course, that's not enough because we want content to be globally available. So we have the mechanism, what we call global pinning, which is really some sort of a way which ensures that downloaders can signal to local pinners that certain content is missing. So those local pinners can re-upload that again. So the incentives for local pinners to participate in this can be various. It can be because they like the content themselves or because they have been paid to re-upload. But really the crucial thing which we are adding here is the possibility for signaling that content is missing and for re-uploading it again. Well, why? This is really the fallback recovering mechanism to ensure that at least content is potentially always available in the network. And you can already use it right now if you're, for example, developing a dApp and you don't want this dApp to go offline because Swarm forgets things inherently, you can use global pinning. We also have red listing, also known as blacklisting, but I won't use that word anymore from now on, to put a certain node on a red list and automatically adjust your behavior towards them. This is essential punishment, basically to incentivize collaboration and to discourage misbehavior. Then we also have a couple of user experience improvements. And first of all, we have all new documentation. And for this, I believe Dan is also on the live stream to show us around. Dan, are you here?
I am here.
Right.
The host needs to unstop my video though, please. If that's okay. Hi. Hey, Rinka.
Hi, Dan. How are you doing?
I'm very well, very well. Great to hear about all the features. Yes, I feel a bit outstaged by Ralph's amazing demonstration there. So great to see that stuff. He's done an amazing job. But if you guys also want to see it and play with it and do it for yourselves, then you can check out our release, but we've updated it. So you'll see if you go to docs.swarm.org, it'll give you hopefully very clear explanation of how to get started, run your own B node and start earning BZZ tokens. Yeah, so that's about it really. There's not too much more to show, but do get in touch with any feedback. We'd love to hear from you. Let us know how you get on.
Yeah. All right, then. Thanks a lot for that. And, you know, short but powerful, right? Because without documentation, how can people start using the B node or even understand what's happening? So thanks for putting this together, Dan. All right, I'll share again my screen for the last parts of my presentation. I'm almost done now, I promise. All right, so the UX improvements, we have the whole new documentation. Very importantly, we have significant performance improvements, both for uploads and downloads. As I mentioned in my previous presentation here, we always prioritize good architecture and we do optimizations secondly. It was possible to do it right now. One dev, they saw, I don't know, try out something, and because we have a good architecture, optimizations naturally fall out. And really, we haven't been spending a lot of time on optimizations, but we have done 25 times better approximately. So this is only the beginning. You can also follow the status of your upload, specifically useful if you're uploading a big file. It might take a couple of minutes, even an hour if it's really big. And then tags come in handy because you can follow the status of your uploads. And the cool thing about this is that dApp developer or somebody developing on top of Swarm can make with this feature progress bars to give you more information and the ability to react, or at least to look at something nice while you wait. Print config is a feature which you can quickly use to find out the current configuration of your B node. And yeah, it's really cool because you can never forget if you set the right environment variable and all the configuration is in one place. Then we have an install script. It's really a shell script to make it easy to install your B client on all the operated operating system. We have Linux, Windows, and macOS. And yeah, that's just convenience to use this install scripts. All right, that's all for now about the features, but I promise to talk about three things, which is the past, the present, and the future. So future comes right now. In the future, first of all, we're going to focus on improving stability and performance. Because let's be fair, we only just started with this, and kinks are reasonably to be expected with just a complex piece of software as Swarm. So mainly stability, we're going to start immediately, and performance when time allows. Improving the usability, we have a couple of ideas how we can improve the usability of the Swarm nodes. But really what for us is the highest priority is if you are trying out the B nodes and you have requests for usability improvements, we prioritize them. Then lastly, storage incentives is really the second leg of the incentives of the Swarm network. So the storage incentives has been thought through already, and we started to plan the implementations. We'll probably release storage incentives in two phases, where the first phase is being spam protection, and the second phase is the distribution of the income. Storage incentives allows and encourages nodes to join, be compensated for the contribution, and ensure that the rights to write to the disk are fairly allocated. Security audits, of course, we're going to soon have real tokens of value managed by the B nodes, and we don't want any funds at risk or at more risk than is needed. So we're working together with some highly renowned security audit firms to have a second look at our code base to make sure that it's as best as we can. Of course, you never know for sure. But we will try our best to don't put any funds at risk. And lastly, we are always wanting to work with you. So users and feedback, I can't often say it often enough. We need you to start building on Swarm, provide us feedback and steer the development. Also, the core team, we are looking for high-profile quality assurance engineers who can support the team with quality assurance, right? So if you think you can work with us or you have something to provide, you can reach out to us on the Telegram, the Orange Lounge, or on the Beehive. And I think this is really my last slide. Yes, it is. So thanks for having me here. Thanks for the time. Thanks for the amazing opportunity to work with everybody of you, and I hope to see you soon.
Well, thank you so much, Rinke. That was really amazing to see. Yeah, it's really cool. I can't wait to see you back at the AMA later. I'm sorry, dear audience, I'm a little bit lost for words because I truly am impressed with what I just witnessed. I think most of us don't realize what this means for the sort of revolution we're trying to propagate here.